Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. This week, my guest is Joseph Sikora, a.k.a. Tommy from Power. I met Joseph last summer. Terrence J., who was on last week, he called me. I was in Canada shooting this movie called Welcome to Sudden Death, which will be out September 29th on Netflix. See how I just plugged my own shit in the intro. But Terrence called me and said, hey, can you come to New York? We're doing this show called Power Confidential. It's going to be like a talk show that's going to recap the episode of Power. So we was able to work it out. And it's funny because it was the first time I met Joe. I feel like we've been living vicariously through each other because I've been stopped so many times by people who thought I was him and then found out he was going through the same thing. And I don't know, I think we messaged each other on Twitter or Instagram. We just stayed in touch through that. We'd be laughing at some of the stuff he'd go through and I go through where people have mistaken identities. And then we met on Power Confidential and he was just cool. I was cool. We exchanged numbers and we just been in touch ever since. So I'm excited that I called him and, he's living in New York and he's able to come on this week. But let me tell you what happened to me last week. It was actually a week ago today this happened. So I talked about it on my Instagram, but let me just break down everything that happened and the comments I got on social media, which I think can get a little ridiculous at times. We're in a state where society just wants to be angry right now about everything. And I get it. It's a highly, in my lifetime, I've never seen this country going through what it's going through. There's just a shift in everything. And so let me just get it. I'm leaving the gym. So I got this guy I work out with here in Northern California. So he only does private sessions. So social distancing is in order, everything. So I'm leaving the gym. I won't forget it. When I got in my car, it said 6:24 p.m. I'm walking to my car and his gym is in like this mall. So I'm leaving this mall and I went out the back. I usually park in the back. So I'm going out this back exit. And as I'm walking to my car, there's nobody else around. Then I see this guy on a bike, and it's not a big bike, it's a tiny bike. And he's got a ski mask on, but he's got it down below his nose. And I'm really not paying any attention to him because I'm like, it's just a guy or a kid on a bike, and he might be going to the store or just left the store and he forgot to take his mask off. I'm not thinking nothing of it. We're in a state now where you're not looking 2 times if somebody has a mask on. Although it was 97 degrees. And he had a full ski mask. I go, it's awful hot. I remember just thinking, that guy's got to be hot. That's all I was thinking of. So as I'm walking to my car, I see him make eye contact with me. And so let me try to do it with my hand motion. I'm walking at like an angle to my car. He's coming this way. He sees me and makes the turn. So we're almost like coming to a point where we're going to meet. So now I'm making sure I make eye contact with him. So I'm looking directly at him. And I'm giving him a smile. I was going to give him a head nod, like, hey, what's up? And he goes, yeah, I see you white. You see I'm black. I ought to smack the shit out of you right now. And I just kind of looked at him, right? And I just went, like, I don't know why this came out of my mouth. I just went, you on a bike? And I don't know why I said that because I think I said it because I knew I was closer to my car than he was. So as I get to my driver's side door, I'm opening it. And if he was going to slap me, he had an opportunity at that point. But I think when I made eye contact with him, and then when I spoke especially, I think he put 2 and 2 together and he realized who I was. Clearly didn't know my name. He doesn't know Gary Owen, but he knew he had seen me on TV or movies because he said, oh, you that funny actor dude. Yeah, I know who you is. And I was just like, and literally his bike went from coming at me. So I'm walking to my car to angle, his bike's coming. He literally just kind of went around the back of my car, then he's on the passenger side and my windows are tinted. So he can't see my car now. And I'm in my car at this point. And he's just doing like circles on the passenger side of my car. So now, but he was so close to my car, the doors lock automatically once I get in the car and turn the ignition on. But he could have literally went for the door or, I don't know, he could have did anything to my car at this point. But he just kind of like had a half smile And I think we both were like, what the hell just happened? Because I think I was in the state of, whoa, what the fuck just happened? And he was looking at me like, I can't believe he was trying to figure out what's that dude's name it looked like. I've seen that face where people look at me and they're like, I know him, but I don't know how I know him. One time in my car, I called the trainer and I told him, I said, hey man, some dude just tried to hit me up outside your gym. I go, he's still out there in the parking lot. And the trainer laughed. He was like, I said, dude, I'm not kidding. And I said, you need to go out there and see who it is because he knows all the kids and all the dudes in the neighborhood. I don't think he took it as serious as I thought because I'm always joking when I'm working out. So he texted me back later and said the guy wasn't out there. I don't think he went out there right away because if he would have went out there right when I called, there's no way you could have missed that kid or that man. If he was a kid, he was 18, 19. If he was a man, he wasn't older than like 22 years old. I'll tell you that. It's probably between 17 and 22 years old. And so I don't think he went out there immediately when I said go out there, or he would have saw him. It's weird when you go through something like that because as I'm driving back to my house, it's about a 20-minute drive from my house to the gym, from the gym to my house. And I'm going through all these ranges of emotion. You go through I wish that motherfucker would have came at me. I would have busted his ass. Then you go through, oh shit, he might have had a weapon on him. Then you go through, I'm so glad I got out of there unscathed. And your emotions are everywhere in the car, all at once. You can't explain it unless you go through something like that. I was like, what the fuck? What just happened? I was literally just walking to my car, minding my business, and all of a sudden this guy on a bike just comes at me. So I get back to my house, and I'm like, I'm processing shit. And now I see my wife and my daughter. I'm telling them what happened. And I said, first I texted the trainer. I said, dude, I know the mall has security tape. They got cameras in the parking lot. I said, see if you can get it. I said, I just want to, not that I want to press charge or anything. I just wanted to see, did it go down like I thought in my head? Did it play out like I thought? And I'm just curious to see it. And then I said, I'm going to make a post on social media. Because that's what you do. When you go through a traumatic experience, you just run to social media. That's what I did. So I made an Instagram post and I literally described everything that happened in order. Because I said, it just happened. I know it. So I said it was 6:24. It was a black guy. He had a ski mask. It went right below his nose. And he came at me and said that. And I was just like, man, it freaked me out. So the fact that I said a black guy in a ski mask, that's all some people heard to go off on me. They was just like, you need to take down this post, da-da-da. Because I made it a little funny when I said, thank God I'm black famous. I said, because the guy recognized me. And I think it saved me, honestly. If I'm looking back on a week later, I think that more than anything saved the situation from getting worse than what it could have been. He could have just been talking shit. I don't know. He could have been really trying to attack somebody. I don't know where this guy's mind frame is, but you have to question somebody's state of mind when they can go to a complete stranger and just start going at them. I don't know why. You have to wonder what they're going through that day or in their life. Or you're just mad because the state of the country is. You're just mad. And I was just the guy that was there. Wrong place, wrong time, basically. I just couldn't believe the people that came at me. And I guess because I said black guy in ski mask. And I guess the reason there was a lot of backlash is because the same time this happened to me, this Elijah McClain case became like national news. And it was about a young black guy that the cops came after. He fit the description. Somebody called the police on him because he had a ski mask on. So basically, a black guy died named Elijah McClain, and he had a ski mask on. And the cops made a mistake, and they came at him and put him in one of their holds, and they gave him some medicine or something to calm him down, and he had cardiac arrest. And he died at the hospital. But it just came out the same time that this happened to me. So some people were upset because I said black guy ski mask. That's all they heard. They didn't bother listening to the whole story. about I'm minding my business and this guy came in. Keep in mind, I never once said I don't trust black guys with ski masks. Blah, blah. I said nothing. I just literally described what happened to me. And I've always done this ever since I was a little kid. When I tell a story, I always would include the color of the person in the story. I'd be like, yo, this black guy or this white dude. And I'm a white guy, and I would say this white dude did this, or this Asian dude did this, or this Latino dude did that. I always describe like the nationality or color of somebody when I told a story. I don't know why. I just always did it. And white included. I just always did it. I guess it's because when I'm telling a story, I want people to have a visual in their head of what the person looked like. If they had a tattoo on their neck, a white guy and had a tattoo on his neck, or I don't know. But all I did was say, hey, this black guy came at me. And the reason he came at me was, I don't know if he would have did that if it was a black guy walking out the store. I doubt it, because he said, yeah, you white, you see I'm black, I'd have smacked the shit out of you right now. So I don't know what the guy's going through. Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking. And it's crazy the range of emotions that go through your brain as you're driving back. And some people say, well, now you know what it's like being black and being profiled. And listen, I'm one of those guys, I empathize completely with what's going on in the country. It's unfortunate all the way around. But whoo-wee, talk about scary. I said a little piss came out the tip. I ain't gonna lie, a little pee came out the tip of my dick. Because I was like, ooh. It's just weird when you see it happening. When you see the guy make the turn on the bike, I was like, ah, shit. It's just about to happen. It's just, I think your brain, everything, when you play it back in your head, everything's in slow motion. You're going, is this really going to happen to me? Like, is this guy really going to come at me? Because you don't know what he wants. I thought maybe he's asking for $1 or directions or he recognized me. I don't know. But I made sure I just made eye contact. I gave him a smile. And then he just came with I smacked the shit out of you. I was like, whoa, oh, that was random. And I don't know why I said, you on a bike? I don't know why that came out of my mouth. Like, almost like I was in a car, you're on a bike. You're not going to smack me in my car. I think that's what's going through my brain. I don't know. It was just so unfortunate. And I see where the timing was a little hypersensitive with the Elijah McClain thing, basically gaining traction because he died in 2019, but it just became like mainstream media news the exact same day that this happened to me last week. So it was just unfortunate all the way around, but I'm okay. That's the main thing. I was like, ooh, I'm glad. I always say I don't get in fights for that reason. I said, because the male ego is something. And you got to check it a lot of times because when you're in the moment, you're like, but then when you wake up the next day, you're like, whoo, I'm glad nothing happened. Honestly, I'm glad, even if something physical would have happened, and let's say we did get in a fist fight, and what if I beat him up? The next day, now I got legal problems. Now I got to deal with shit I don't want to deal with because of this. What if I got hurt? What if he beat my ass? Then I'm in the hospital. I don't want to deal with that shit either. So the best case scenario happened. He verbally, blah, 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 said what he said. I gave a little smile, got in my car, and I left. That was the best case scenario, because now the only thing that's going to happen is I'm on social media talking about it, or I'm on my podcast talking about it. But this is the best outcome that could have come from yesterday. I think this is so timely. I always do the rap lyric breakdowns, to connect with my daughter. I'm a white guy in his 40s. I'm just going to read the lyrics this week, and then I'm going to go right into Joseph, because these lyrics are so cut and dry, and they're so on point with what's going on in the country today, at this time. So this week's rap lyrics is by Lil Baby. It's called The Bigger Picture. So I'm not going to make a joke about it. I'm just going to read the lyrics, because a lot of times we hear songs, but we don't really hear the lyrics. We hear the beat or whatever, but I think these lyrics are so important to what's going on in the country right now. And I hope I do it justice. I hope me reading it doesn't diffuse, because it is a great song. So here we go. Seems like we losing our country, but we got to stand up for something. So this is what it comes to. Every video I see on my conscience, I got power. Now I gotta say something. Corrupted police been the problem where I'm from, but I'd be lying if I said it was all of them. I ain't do this for the trend. I don't follow them. Altercations with the law had a lot of them. People speaking for the people, I'm proud of them. Stick together, we can get it up and out of them. I can't lie, like I don't rap about killing and dope, but I'm telling my youngins to go out and vote. I did what I did because I didn't have no choice or no hope. I was forced just to jump in and go. This bullshit, that's all that we know, but it's time for a change. Got time to be serious? No time for no games. We ain't talking no more. Let us go from them chains. God bless they souls, every one of them names. It's bigger than black and white. It's a problem with the whole way of life. It can't change overnight, but we got to start somewhere. Might as well go ahead and start here. We done had a hell of a year. I'm gonna make it count while I'm here. God is the only man I fear. I'm just gonna rest it at that. All right, y'all. Joseph Sikora on this week's podcast. A lot of people say we're doppelgangers. You have seen him as a teenager on one of my favorite movies, Rudy. You saw him get his dick shot off in the TV show, my favorite TV show, Ozark. But possibly. Very Game of Thrones-ish. Most people, and I will say he'll probably say this himself, he became a household name from the show Power. My guy, Joseph Sikora, a.k.a. Gary Owen, a.k.a. Tommy. It's my guest this week. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Timmy Egan?
Yeah, Timmy and Tommy. I did a whole bit on my last comedy special about being you and getting stopped for you.
Yeah, people love that one.
Were you familiar with me before you got on Power?
Yeah, I knew, of course I knew who you were, but my favorite thing was that when I got stopped in airports, literally, because I'm 5'10" and change and you're, a solid 6'3". People would stop me in airports and just be like, oh, I saw your comedy show. And I'm just like, you couldn't tell? You really can't tell? I'm the fun size Gary Owen?
Well, depending on their TV, they don't know I'm that tall.
That's true, but if they see you live, which some of these people said they just came from your show, we had just crisscrossed when I was doing an appearance at a club. And so I attempted a joke, and I just said, just make sure you follow me on Instagram.
Yeah. I kept getting social media was telling me, oh man, I'm so happy you got on Power. I was like, what? What is this show, Power? People were really congratulating me and saying, I'm so happy for you. I was going, what the hell is going on? So literally, I'm not lying, Joe. I was calling my agency going, Joe, did I get casted in something? Did I get on a show and you're not telling me? Is there an offer out there? I didn't start watching Power till season 2 because, I'm on the road. It's hard for me to catch shows. I binge watch shows. Mm-hmm. And the first season of Power, I didn't even pay any attention to it. And then all of a sudden people are like, congratulations, so happy for you. And I was like, what is going on? And they're like, no, there's a show 50 Cent put together called Power. They're going into season 2. And I was like, what is this show? And that's how I started watching it and got hooked on it because of you, basically.
People were like, it's kind of like you and Michael Ealy, but it's these two other guys.
Yeah. Right. Now you're on my favorite show is Ozark.
It's a great show. I mean, the writing on that show, Chris Mundy, who's the showrunner, is the coolest guy in the world. Jason Bateman, phenomenal. But Laura Linney, to me, is one of the great actors in America right now.
Oh, my gosh. Her and Jason Bateman. I cannot.
They're fantastic.
I can't see anybody else playing those roles. I just can't see anybody else doing it.
I agree, but Jason Bateman, and I don't think it's easy to do. Jason Bateman, after, just being around him a lot, and I do think it's very difficult to do it. I'm not saying it's exactly him, but he's a lot like Jason Bateman. And it's so funny when he's directing because he'll be like, okay, guys, we're going to do it like this, and they'll come around, and then he's just like, okay, in action. Hey, so what? And right into the scene, it's the same tonality, the same thing. And I don't think he's in character. I think he's just kind of, has played Marty similar to himself. And that's a tough thing to do, is not kind of immerse yourself and mask yourself in the character. So I got nothing but love and respect for Jason Bateman. And he was a huge reason why I played Frank Jr. how I played him, because I came in with all these other ideas, and I'm coming off of Tommy, and I'm like, okay, I got great ideas for this mob son, and I'm going to do it like this. And he's kind of like, why don't you try this? And I'm like, yeah, all right.
So he's shutting down all your brainstorming in the hotel room?
Yeah, he's like, that's a great ideas. So here's some other ideas. I'd like you to do those instead. So
when Ozark, when it came out, and I'm on Netflix and I hear about it, I turn it on. That's one of the shows, the first episode. Some shows like Game of Thrones, it took a couple episodes to get into it. Sons of Anarchy for me took a couple episodes. Ozark, from the first 20 minutes, I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
As soon as I saw that body drop in Chicago, when they're in Chicago and the lawyer's body drops, as soon as I saw that body drop, I was like, I'm in.
And what was that lawyer's name?
I can't remember.
Gary.
Gary.
The guy Laura Linney was having an affair with was Gary. Now, how did you get Ozark? Was it offered? Did you go in an audition?
They called me in like everybody else. I did a pre-read, and then I read for the casting director, and then I got cast. And it was supposed to be 2 episodes, and then turned into 3, turned into however many it turned into. And I think the character could have been just a foil for Ruth, but Julia Garner, I loved working with her, and I think that, you know, the character was a tool for Ruth's character, and that's fine. So my job was to be the most interesting I could be within the parameters I was given, and I loved being on that set. I truly loved being a part of that show, because first off, it's the first time I was a huge fan of a show, and then I got to go beyond the show. So, you know, I fanned out a little bit at different times, but I kind of kept myself together, and we'll have to see what the future holds for Frank Jr., because we never actually saw everything. So we'll see what Mundy has in mind.
Oh, I swear, and people that haven't watched the show, we're going to give away some stuff. When that lady shot your dick off, for lack of a better term, I just thought you were dead. I was like, oh, shit, she killed him.
Well, it could be. The powers that be haven't told me that I'm dead or alive necessarily in the thing, because, I mean, you shoot somebody there. I'm sure it's possible to survive getting, you know, your foreskin and a testicle blown off, if or whatever the case is. But, I mean, you'd think all the arteries there and everything, you bleed out. So, I don't know. I'll see what they have planned.
I mean, I hope you come back. It'll be interesting to see how you're such a, like you said, a tool in the show.
Oh, to never come, and I never will come back. Yeah. Or maybe I'll come. There's a million of them.
Listen, nothing will humble a man more than getting his dick shot off, I would think.
Well, I mean, in a real way, it's like, you know, I'm coming off of being Tommy, who's all balls, all guts, all everything. And play a different character who's kind of could be played in the same genre-ish, but to be such a different character and then to kind of accept the fate of this guy, I was happy that my ego was in check. And it was just like, dude, you're just an actor. Play the role and be great at whatever role you're given. And it was a sweet tasting humbled pie.
Is that hard to go from
hard? See, there you go again, Gary.
Right? Hey, man, they're not going to stop. It just keeps going. We're going to stretch this as long as we can.
Right.
No, is it tough to go from like you play this like and Tommy is like an iconic character, especially in the Black community. Mm-hmm. I mean, Tommy is that guy, and to go from him. And did you go right in from Power to Ozark?
We were actually shooting at the same time. I shot episodes 1 and 2 while we were filming episodes 13, 14, and 15 of the 6th season, the back 5 episodes. So the last 3 of the back 5, we were shooting at the same time. I was shooting Ozark. So the hair department, I both kind of let me grow my hair a little bit longer, and then they filled it like in so it didn't look like it looked like a different cut. Mm-hmm. So, same time.
Is that difficult?
Well, I used to do theater in rep, so, you're doing different plays at the same time. You have to be different characters, or even sometimes within a play, you have to be different characters. So I always had fun. And I shot a bunch of other stuff while I was shooting Power. I did Maniac while I was shooting Power. I did Underground on WGN America with my buddy Anthony Hemingway, which was a strange, fun character, Frog Jack. I did, quite a few. Chicago PD that a buddy of mine wrote a role for me on, so I did the guest star on that, and just very different characters and doing it at the same time. But I always had the luxury of, I don't know, I guess coming from the theater is you compartmentalize stuff and you develop the characters, and I'm obviously not in it for the fame, so I'm in it for the storytelling.
Did now I know we did Power. The first time we met was on Power Confidential last summer, and it was funny because when I did, I was excited to meet you because it was like we were like living vicariously through each other for the longest.
Yeah.
I
was like, I made it my personal mission to be like, it's Owen, no S. What's wrong with you?
I appreciate that. Listen, I stopped correcting people. If they said, love you on Powers, I appreciate it. Make sure you watch season 5 or season 6. Yeah, we coming back in August. Hey, man, why you shoot so-and-so? He had it coming.
Yeah, there you go. Couldn't shut his mouth.
I asked you this question on Power Confidential, but for me personally, I just love hearing the grind stories of actors and comedians and singers. Well, you had auditioned, 3 or 4 times to get the part of Tommy?
5.
5.
Yeah.
And didn't you say you were like kind of blowing it off at first?
Not blowing it off, but I was getting married at the time, and when the first auditions were, and I read it, and you could probably sympathize this as a fellow actor, not only a comedian, but a multi-talent, unlike me. I read it and I thought, they're gonna fuck this up. They're gonna give it to some pretty boy who knows nothing about nothing, and it's gonna be garbage. Whatever. I'm getting married. I'm done. So, but then after I got married, came back to New York, it came around again because originally 50 Cent was gonna play Ghost. And then 50 was just like, it's too big of a commitment. And then they offered it to Omari. That was 50's choice, and Courtney was on board with that, Courtney A. Kemp, the show's creator. So then they re-auditioned the Tommy role. They already had another guy that they had in mind for Tommy, which was originally called Eddie O'Neill. And that's not 4 touchdowns in one game, 4 touchdowns in one season, rather, or whatever. Right. I'm making the Ed O'Neill reference. Right. And then so we all had to re-audition, and I ended up getting the role. Part of it is because I clicked with Omari. We really got on so well that we were able to play brothers straight away. I think that was a big thing. And then, if I'm being totally honest, Omari's pretty light skin. I think that the other guy was Italian and dark olive skin. Mm-hmm. And I think that I just made Omari look darker probably too.
Yeah, there is something to say about that. Not just the skin color, but the height, the weight. Sure. I've had auditions where they called back and said, now how tall are you again? And I was like, shit. Mm-hmm. I'd be trying to down, like, well, what are you looking for? Because I can be shorter.
Yeah. Put me in flats, put them in heels. We're good.
Right, you're sitting there going, well, who's the lead? And then I'm Wikipedia in the lead, like, okay, the lead is 5'3". I'm going to say I'm 5'11".
Yeah, exactly. Now we're the same height. That's perfectly.
Yeah, no shit.
I'd be like, damn, you're a big 5'11".
Coming in slunched over. Okay, so now you get the part in Power. When did, like, the first time you're out to eat at a nightclub or getting coffee, and somebody just stopped you like, you, Tommy?
Right after season 1, where it's like, and this is going to be, I'm surely trying to choose my words wisely in our current climate, but it was when kind of a barrage of being called the N-word that I was like, whoa.
Oh, they were calling you the N-word.
Right.
Right.
As in my N-word.
Right.
There he is.
Out of affection.
This guy, right? Out of affection.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, that's a compliment because, luckily and for whatever reason, but it's lucky that I grew up with people of all different colors and creeds. But, you know the difference immediately. And I will say that, and this is not belittling to a white community, but the black community calls bullshit fast. So quick. I was like, good, I did a good job, and because that's Tommy's that guy.
Yeah, and did they expect you to act like Tommy? when they approach you?
That's why I always tried to kind of limit my interaction with people, because I'm just like, yeah, that's right. Good to see you too. No, get the fuck out of here. Because I'm like, I don't want to blow my cover, because I would be like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, can I buy you a drink, or you good?
But you know what? Here's the funny thing. Tommy being such an iconic character, especially in the black community, you can literally be like, hey, get the fuck out of my face. And they'd be like, yo,
that's him. I told you this is how.
Yo, that's really him. He's not playing a character.
Well, it's funny. A friend of mine, and this is not funny, but a friend of mine was serving a long sentence, and he had just been transferred from Sing Sing. He did 12 years, and his last year and a half, he was at Queens Correctional. So it was finally closer, and I was able to go visit him every week. And I was in there talking with him, and this guy looks over at me, looks over twice, and he's like, yo, Tommy's right there. This shit is real.
So another person visiting an inmate?
Yeah, another person visiting an inmate is telling his buddies, like, you see that guy? That's Tommy. Tommy from Power. Dude, that's what I was talking about. This shit is real.
And depending on how long that his friend was in prison, he's like, yo, we don't have stars.
Exactly. The guys because some of the guys who had just been at Queens Correctional who weren't transferred in did see the show, because this is probably like season 3. But my friend was just like, he's like, I don't know Tommy, I know Joe. You know, like, that's my guy. But yeah, it was very funny. But he did say, yo, you blessed me, because when I went down there, all the COs, I would take pictures with them. They'd be like, yo, Tommy, could you wait around for 1 second? I'd be like, yeah. They're like, after I go get my stuff out of the locker, they'd be like, can I take a picture? Oh man, my daughter loves you, or this or that. And I was like, yeah. So taking pictures. And then they're like, who are you visiting? I'm like, here's his name, here's his number. And he's like, yo, that really helped me out.
Believe me, listen, I don't want to act like we're swapping buddies in prison stories, but I got a buddy also that's serving time in Folsom, and I'll go visit him, and it's similar to the same type of things happen. The guards will be like, who you here to see? And they're not as cold. I still got to follow all the rules and regulations, but they're not as hardcore, like right on the line. You're not bringing this in. They're like, hey, Gary, the locker's back there.
Well, and I think that fortunately and unfortunately to our friends, the incarcerated friend, is that I think it forces the correctional officer to humanize that person even more. I mean, I wish they did it with everybody, and I don't know how much we're going to get into the present state of the police right now, but I think that's kind of an overriding theme is the humanization of people. I mean, especially black people, but of anybody incarcerated.
Yeah, and I've I don't know if you did this, but when I go to visit my buddy, I think it's like $2, and they can get a Polaroid, you can get a picture of you.
Oh yeah, the Polaroid,
yeah. I swear I took at least 10 pictures one time. With just friends and family, and it was the guy that was taking the pictures that collects the money, gave my boy a free picture. That was the trade-off. If I take pictures with these other people, he was giving him a free picture.
Or at the vending machine, somebody'd be like, "Yo, Tommy, you want something?" Yeah. I'd be like, "Yeah, man, let me get a Snickers." Like, all right, thanks. Yeah. Bought Tommy a Snickers. All right.
I think for us, especially in the climate of this country, with the Black Lives Matter movement, I think me and you, especially in the entertainment world, it made my skin curl. And I did a parody of did you see the We Take Responsibility video?
Oh, yours had me rolling. I made my wife watch it with us. I was like, the first thing I saw in the morning. It is, and I'll quote Omari Hardwick. He said, "There's nothing stranger than seeing white people try to act comfortable around black people." You know what I mean? If they're like, yeah, yo, my brother, or word up, or something like that, where it's just like, no, you don't have to be that. You could just be your authentic self, and that'll come across better than trying to connect. But so I think I know what you're saying, and your response to it was very funny.
Oh my God, the responsibility. I tell you, the first time I saw in my life a white friend try to be just change his entire persona around black people, I was in high school, going to the 11th grade, And I worked at this amusement park, and some of the other kids at the amusement park were black kids. And I went to go over one of their houses one night, and I brought my buddy. And I went to a predominantly white high school, and he came with me. And we go down the basement, and it was like a scene out of a movie. Like, I go down there, and he's down there, and he's got these older brothers, and his older brothers all play college football. So it was like 4 big, ripped up black dudes. They're just pumping weights down the basement. And all of a sudden I go, hey, what's up, guys? I go, this is my buddy Pat. And my buddy Pat hand came up. Oh, what's up, man? What's up, man?
You're like, no.
One of the guys go, hey, man, what are you doing? And he goes, what, man? I'm just being me. And they looked at me and I go, I've never heard this voice in my life. I was like, who are you right now, Pat? You're the lifeguard. You're the lifeguard at the amusement park in the little pool.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's some of those things that people don't even realize are interpreted in a way like, you think you're connecting when you say, yo, 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 my man. And it's like, that is not how it's being heard.
At all. Yeah. I mean, just say hello.
Yeah.
How you doing?
How are you?
It's so simple. And I think, and I got a little sidetracked, but especially me and you, being white guys, but so ingrained in black culture, for me, the Black Lives Matter movement that we see going on, I think in the entertainment field especially, like, I think we empathize and can connect more than the average white entertainer that just isn't ingrained in black culture as much. You spent more time with probably black people, the 6 seasons of Power, than you did with your own family half the time. It was long days on set.
That's true. I was always lucky. I mean, you have black people that love you the most in the world, but I was always lucky enough to grow up with black people who loved me. And I think that it's a different thing just when you have that experience that it's the trying thing. I always knew that it was most important to just be my authentic self and never try to, you emulate what you emulate, you pick up what you pick up in a genuine way. You don't try. Trying is always people, like I said, the black community susses out bullshit fast. So you don't need to do that. You don't want to do that. But that whole thing about when all the white actors did that, and I'm not mad at anybody because they're trying, but I think the lesson there is that they still want to be heard, right? It's a bunch of white actors that I want you to hear me. Rather than hearing white people at this time, I think that what we're being shown by the black community is that now is the time that they want white people, all white people, to listen. Mm-hmm. Like, not listen to me. I'm a white guy who wants to do that. What I feel I'm hearing from the black community is we don't need to know how you're feeling right now. We need to know that you're listening to us right now. There'll be a time to be on board and to be an ally, but and being an ally right now means shutting up and listening, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've had so many interesting social media conversations with white and black people. Some white people, they don't understand it. And I try to stress to them, I go, it's not really for you to understand. It's like you said, it's just for you to listen and to empathize. Like if somebody's in pain, you just want to take the pain away, especially when it's like your family and friends. He's like, what can I do to help? And you just all we could do is sit back and, like you said, I think you said it perfectly, is just listen. Have you talked to anybody in the cast since all this has gone down?
Yeah, me and Omari went on Instagram Live, actually. We were on Instagram Live maybe last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now. And I just kind of, because O and I are friends, I just thought, fine. Because I told him, listen, I don't feel like doing it right now. And I'm out. I'm podcast and Instagram Live out. And finally, he's just like, yo, Joe, I think it's important for us to do this. And it actually turned out to be important because I just thought it was like another thing. And we were just talking as we do as friends. But it was important to see a white guy and a black guy talking and listening, both. And there was a freedom in me because I've known him so well for so long to talk just very freely. And I think that was refreshing and encouraging for people to see that, and hopefully a little bit inspiring. But like I said, right now, to me, and what I'm definitely going to do is just shut up and listen now. There will be a time in the future, probably in a little bit down the way, where it will be important to talk as well and be listened to. But that's phase 2.
For you and I would say myself also, is there's also a trust factor when we do talk, because it's not like we're an outsider looking in. We're like, no, we are ingrained in the culture. I mean, by where you was raised, and just by luck of the draw, the iconic TV show you became a part of.
Yeah,
and with me,
absolutely.
People always say, how did you become a white comic with a black audience? And I always say, you don't choose your audience, they choose you. Mm-hmm. It's just my first opportunities to be on TV and in movies was on BET, and first couple movies I had black lead actors. That was just how it was. I said, shit, I would have did Telemundo if I knew Spanish. If that was going to get me on TV, and when I moved out to LA and I was 20, 21 years old, I would have did anything to get on TV. Hell, I did the dating game.
Wow, did you?
Yeah, and it's funny. Honestly, my first ever TV appearance was the dating game, and I asked to switch at the last minute because the other group was 3 black girls picking a dude. And I was talking to the black guy backstage, and he was telling me like, yeah, man, kind of wish I was on your show. I said, well, I wish I was on your show. And we went and asked if we could switch, and they said, nah.
Oh, too bad.
Asked.
But you're my hero, man. You moved out to LA at 21, and you lasted.
Yeah, well, I was in the Navy. You know I was in the Navy, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
So I was in the military, and my whole plan from the time I could talk and think was, I want to be a stand-up. I just want to be a stand-up. But I didn't know how. I didn't know you could start in Chicago or Cincinnati or Milwaukee or Atlanta. I thought every stand-up started in LA. I just thought everybody moves to LA and you start telling jokes. I didn't know you could start in your hometown. So my whole thing was, how do I get to LA? And I joined the military because I figured, all right, I can get a job, make some money, and it's only like a 4-year commitment, and then I could make my way to LA. And first chance I got a chance to get stationed in San Diego, I took it. And I thought the whole state of California was LA. I didn't know there were other cities. I don't know why I thought that. I guess David Lee Roth, I wish they all could be California girls. It was shot in LA. I was like, okay.
It's a great video. It's a great video.
But I thought that was the whole state. I was like, what is this, Fresno?
Mm-hmm. Where you at, Camp Pendleton? Is that right?
I was in the Navy, so I was down in 32nd Street, and I was at Naval Station North Island and NEB Coronado.
Okay, so, I don't even know where I'm talking about. All I know is Pendleton. And what is that, the Marines?
That's the big Marine base. That's a huge Marine base. Yeah. San Diego's got a bunch of Navy bases. I was on BET's Comic View. I was still active duty. I was just driving up to LA and filmed. And then I would drive back down to San Diego and go to work the next day. It was like boom, boom, boom. I would stay at like a Walmart in Dana Point and sleep if I got too tired.
That's a grind, man. I mean, people don't realize, but like you did what I couldn't do. I went to Los Angeles, and as soon as I went there, I kept coming back to Chicago, back to New York for work, because I wasn't even conscious that LA didn't work for me. And I just kept, every opportunity I had to leave, I took, until finally I was just like, the next job that takes me back to New York, I'm just going to stay. And that was Boardwalk Empire, and I think 2008 for the pilot. So LA is just, it's too tough for me. And I still just this year shook off that I can't stand LA. Now I'm like, it's okay. I'm only here when I'm working, so it's great. I've always got a return ticket anyway.
See, we're completely opposite. The way you feel about LA is how I felt about New York when I first got in the business.
Oh, wow.
I'd fly to New York and I'd be like, whoa, this is so overwhelming. There's so many people in a condensed area. But I guess moving out to California and getting familiar with LA and my way around town, I was always comfortable there when I first got in the entertainment business. And then I remember the first time I came to New York, which was 98. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, we first came here around the same time. But it's just, to me, where I first was in Queens and stuff, and Queens always felt like Chicago to me. It felt like, this is like the north side of Chicago. This is, this would be more like the South Side down here. And then I was always just like, Chicago is just like Queens with a third of Manhattan in Long Island City.
See, Chicago is it's a huge city. Everybody knows that, but it doesn't feel like a big city like New York does.
You're right.
It has a
totally
Midwest vibe, suburban vibe downtown. You're like, oh, okay. It doesn't feel like New York. I don't know. It doesn't feel as busy when you're down on Michigan Avenue.
It's not, but it is familiar. Like when I moved to New York, I was just like, it just felt like Chicago to me originally. And then going to LA, I was like, this feels so foreign. And the coloring was different. Everything was different. And also I felt like such a commodity and such a number. It was really tough. It was really way too tough for me.
You're one of the classic, just kept grinding as an actor. Like you was getting an episode here, an episode here, an episode here. And just, you're working, but there's nothing like, you're not getting that reoccurring part on a 5-year run like you did on Power. I mean,
Right.
what would you say, how your life has changed the most since you had steady work on Power? You weren't like, you didn't have to worry about, oh God, I got to audition just to get the bills paid this year.
Well, part of it is that. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is that I can actually pay my bills. It's nice to be able to pay my bills. And then just more creative opportunities. I'm going to be producing a movie soon. I'm just in the very beginning stages I got the rights to a great book written by my good friend Rick Cogan called Everybody Pays. I'm going to be turning that into a film, and it's going to be great. I'm going to be a friggin' filmmaker. And just to have those kind of opportunities, meeting people like Deon Taylor, who directed The Intruder and Black and Blue, so, and all these great movies, and, hopefully working with him again soon in the future in another one of his films, but to be presented with opportunities with people that I like, to me, that's really the dream, is to have, surround yourself by like-minded people that want to tell stories. It's a luxury. But people, of course, like everything, I'm an overnight success because of Power. It's, Tommy got Power out of nowhere, and then Tommy's famous. And it's like, no, Joseph has been doing this for 32 years, and my pension in Screen Actors Guild has already kicked in if I wanted it to.
When I texted you and said, hey, you want to be on the podcast, I wanted to do my due diligence and I looked up some of your credits. And I was like, oh, shit, he was in Rudy. One of the kids. I was like, that was one of my favorite movies. Think about, now that you are who you are from the movie Rudy, not to mention, I think it was Vince Vaughn's first movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of Jon Favreau's first films.
It was one of his first films.
I mean, you look at the cast sometimes, you're like, wow. Just who knew when that movie came out? Those like Vince Vaughn, very minor role. You, very minor role. Jon Favreau had a good role, but I mean, just to see the three of you, your career trajectories and complete different paths off that one film. I mean, you have to look up when I tell people, Vince Vaughn, I think he met Jon Favreau on the set of Rudy. And then people be like, Vince Vaughn was in Rudy? I go, he was the running back that didn't live up to his potential.
How did you not know that?
He's now on the scout team. Was that like local casting when you was how old were you when you did that movie?
Older than you think. I was 14 and it came out when I was 15. I mean, I know I look like 10, but I was a little older than that.
That was just a local casting, you just went down there?
That was local casting, but I had auditioned for, I had worked before Rudy. Like I had done other things before Rudy as well, small things, but it was just another step in the process. There was always these little kids who were just, man, they were so adorable, who always used to get the roles like right above me. And I remember even on commercials, I remember Fred Savage had already done something, but he would be at some of the commercial auditions for Bubblicious or whatever, and I would be down there with my mom, just being like, oh wow, like he's already famous in some way, and man, it's just, I wouldn't wish acting on my worst enemy most times because it's such a hard career. I thank God for getting into the theater and telling the roles, because that's what I like doing, is just telling the different stories and kind of living and learning about life and human beings. I mean, not to get too arty-farty, but that's why I'm in it. And I just love having more of these opportunities to be able to do that after Power. It's given me that luxury. So I'm forever grateful to Courtney and 50 and Gary and everybody else.
Is there going to be a spinoff?
Oh, yeah. Tommy's heading out west, Gary. Now you could be on the show.
Now I can be Timmy.
Timmy.
Your daddy was a Rolling Stone, man. He got it in.
He was. So
I know,
it's
that's the
perfect.
thing. When I saw your dad, I go, oh, he's definitely got a couple more kids. Tommy's got some relatives he don't know about, for sure.
Wasn't he great? I mean, William Sadler, he's such a great guy he was so great on the show.
Yeah, to be your dad, because it's so hard to picture who would be Tommy's dad. Yeah, he was good. And he was. People forget he was so good in Shawshank.
Shawshank, great, and Death and Bill and Ted's.
Oh, that's right. Goddamn, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Let me see. I've had Ely on the podcast. I've had Terrence J on the podcast.
I love those guys.
I know you're the third or fourth person that's brought up Deion Taylor. And Deion, he just texted me last week and said he wants to do the podcast. And I'm like, yo, let's wait until you got a film coming out, because I know you got a couple coming. Deion's one of those guys.
He's like, no, man, let's do it now. I just took my 20,000 steps. I'm ready to do the podcast.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah. Hey, Gary, man. Yeah. He's always, I'll send him a text just like, what's up? And then he'll text back, what's up, King? Glad to know you and be in your presence. You're one of a kind. Like,
and you know
man,
what? And he means, one time I was just busting his balls a little bit and saying, like, I'm like, do you really believe all that shit coming out of your mouth? And like, literally, it was like the one time he took a step back, he's like, I do, every word. And I was like, no, I was just busting your balls. Like, I know you do. But he really does. He is nothing but positivity. He's a freaking great director, just a fantastic human being. And I can't wait to do another movie with him, because after doing The Intruder, I feel like I know how he works now. So I know I can give him even a better performance. And if you don't come up with anything to do, he'll tell you everything to do. If you come up with a ton of stuff to do, he'll collaborate with you every step of the way. You can't ask for better than that. So I can't wait to work with him again.
That movie, it was hard, because that was the first time I had seen you, and I was with my wife when we went and saw the movie. I kept waiting for you to burn into Tommy, the whole movie. And I remember I texted Deion, I go, yeah, if Joseph, if you would have had Tommy in this movie, it would have ended probably within the first 10 minutes. He literally
No, we're gonna kill this motherfucker.
Oh God, he would have having wine with Ely and Megan. Like, look, I got it. This fucker's gone. He sold you the house. And I said, you would have never got killed in their driveway. I can't wait for you to fuck him up when you guys took the walk on the driveway. I was like, dude, it's time. It's time, Tommy. Stop bullshitting.
Deion told me the best story. He said they were having a screening in Chicago, and when it came the time where Dennis Quaid kills my character with the axe, the lady jumps up and she goes, "Oh no, Tommy!"
She's texting her friends, Tommy's dead.
Oh, God, fucking it's
Tommy's
ruined.
dead.
There's no power, it's gone.
Right. Hey, you know this isn't real, right? Like,
yeah. I just love that somebody's that invested in Tommy. I got to give it to it. I'm not mad at that. When people are like, you know that everybody's going to call you Tommy for the rest of your life, I'm just like, man, it's a badge of honor. And when people say Joseph, you know that they're more interested in your full work. But to have played a character that people are always going to call you, I'm just like, hey, I did a good job. It's a compliment.
Oh, without question, it's one of the most iconic characters, and especially in Black culture. It's like that dude, just because he was a white guy, not putting on, like we've been saying, he was just being himself and just ruthless. God damn. He lived his life by his own set of rules. It wasn't where he wasn't worried about the law, what people think. I was like, God, the goddamn guy killed his dad.
Yeah, but he lived within those rules of a moral compass. He was one of the few people that actually had a moral compass from the first episode to the last.
Yeah, you know what? I guess I didn't think. I take it all back. Belay everything I said. Joseph, you were being polite. Like, Gary, that's not what the fuck he was doing. He had a moral compass, bro.
Oh, his own, which is a little skewed, but you know.
And it was interesting when we did Power Confidential, and you had was he a writer or producer on the show?
Gary Lennon, writer and producer, co-showrunner of the last season too.
Yeah, I caught something you guys said, and I was just kind of listening, where you said, he was so collaborative with you, and you guys would meet at like a coffee shop and just go over the script. You tell him your ideas and how you see it going, and he would go back and forth and listen. Is that what you would do, like, before the season would start?
Not before the season would start necessarily. However, Courtney Kemp, who's the show's creator and showrunner, she always told us a little bit of the trajectory of the character for that season, and she always listened to our ideas and wanted to know our input, so I'm really grateful to her for that. And she's so smart. I mean, she made a big hit show and changed my life, so I'm forever grateful to Courtney for sure. But Gary, being on the spot, he was able to be there, especially when he was directing episodes. And Gary is also, he's a native New Yorker. He's got that too, so it's always good. But also 50 was super collaborative. 50 is the one who told me before season 1, he's like, yo, man, Tommy's like Tony Montana. And I was just like, damn, he's got big plans for Tommy. So for me, season 1, I came with all of these ideas. Thank God Bateman wasn't there. He would have ruined, no, I'm joking. But I came with all these ideas. Season 1, I did exactly what they had written in the script. I just added my own thing to it wherever I could. I tried to add the comedy in there, right? So I tried to find the joke where there wasn't a joke. I tried to find the physical comedy of, like, when Holly comes in the first time into his apartment and he's like, oh, there's a gun, let me just put my coat over that, or like type stuff at first. And then they started writing to the character so that it became a collaborative process later on. But I didn't want to say, like, this is how I see the guy first. I didn't do that until way down the line, and mostly when I was asked. I always tried to know not just my place, but I always tried to give credit to the people who were directing and producing and writing, and then tried to play my part as best I could until it became to a point that, kind of nobody knows the character better than me at this point. But you don't want to put the cart before the horse, because you're going to get fired or killed on the show.
Yeah. You are definitely an actor's actor, because you be breaking shit down. I'm like this. Whoa, Joseph takes his shit serious.
but also lightly. You know what I mean? I'm not curing cancer here.
They casted the right guy, because I would have been playing Tommy like this. I just want to kill and fuck people.
Well, it's that too. It's like all of that and stuff.
That's what I've been doing. Yo, Joe, if it would have been me, I'd have been looking at Gary and 50 like, who can I kill? Okay, yeah, let's kill him too.
You and 50 would have been a good Tommy and Ghost. I'll tell you that right now.
But there would have been nobody left. They'd be doing recasting every week. What are we gonna do? Let's just fucking kill him.
Yeah.
50, let's kill him.
Tommy, season 1, he says that about Ruiz. Tommy says, he goes, I told you it was this motherfucker. And Ghost says, yeah, but that's when you thought it was this other guy. And Tommy goes, yeah, I know, whatever. I just want to kill a motherfucker.
Yeah, I just want to kill a motherfucker. How did you get in contact with Dion, or did Dion contact you for The Intruder?
So for The Intruder, thank God Michael Ealy was in it as well, because he gave kind of his seal of approval, because we had just done Jacob's Ladder, which of course came out afterwards, but it was actually shot in reverse of those two films. So I'd already played Mike's best friend in a different film. So Omar Joseph, who was the second unit director, said to Mark Berg, who was the producer on the film, Mark Berg also produced the Saw movies, and they originally wanted my character of Mike to be a black comedian. And Omar Joseph came with and said, all right, so I found the character of Mike. I know you want a black comedic actor, but I found a white dramatic actor. And he's like, huh? And he's like, no, but you got to see this guy. It's who you want. And then Dion was aware of Power, and Mark Berg wasn't sold. So this is seriously what Omar Joseph did for me, which is so selfless. Is he said to Mark, who wasn't convinced, he said, Mark, you got an 18-year-old son. Ask him if he watches Power. And he goes, okay. And he goes, and when he says yes, ask him who his favorite character is. And he came back the next day and Mark said, all right, how much can we get the guy for? When they said to Michael Ealy, what do you think about Joseph Sikora? He's like, oh, yeah, cast him. So that was nice to have another friend to have your back like that.
Here's what's great about this business too, is a lot of times the the mainstream media, they're quick to highlight actors' selfishness and crazy behavior. But I've also found it's really one of the most giving professions. People secure themselves and they want to work with people because Ely, it's funny, I got you on the podcast now, this all is full circle because Ely called me before he worked with Dion to ask about Dion because I did Meet the Blacks with him. And I just say, yeah, Dion's great, man. He's awesome. I said, I remember telling Ely, I go, he let me ad-lib. And that's all I want in a movie. I don't care what the script is. Just even if you don't put it in it, can I get a couple ad-lib scenes? I said, so Dion's great. And that, then Ely met Dion and they came about. And I remember me telling Ely, when I had Ely on, he said, yeah, that was the second film I did with Joseph Sikora. And I go, what was the first one? He goes, Jacob Slatter. I texted Ely. And I always try to support my friends and everybody, like go see a movie first week or whenever it comes out. And I just said, dude, I'm not seeing Jacob Slatter. I saw the first one. I'm not fucking with that dude.
Well, the first one is beautiful and iconic. And they did try, I give them credit for trying to do something different with the movie. And I don't know how happy Mike was with the movie or not, but I got to play a really cool role. And really transform and really hide behind. I got to die twice. That doesn't ruin anything in the movie at all because, the movie's all over the place and you don't know if the guy's dead or if he was a figment of the imagination or whatever. But they swung for the fences.
I want no part of Jacob Slatter, bro. None. I can't do the psychological horrors. I can't. If it's a horror movie, I want to be able to share we can kill the killer. We can kill him, right?
I feel that.
I told Mike, dude, I am not supporting you. That's why I didn't know you guys worked together twice. I just assumed The Intruder was the first time you guys worked together. I think I was texting Mike why he was filming. I go, hey, how am I doing? Am I killing it? Yeah. And Mike goes, Mike, he's so introspective. He was like, yeah, what do you mean? I go, no, you're working with Joe, right? You're working with Tommy. He goes, yeah. I go, yeah, how am I doing? And he goes, what? I go, no, people always mistake us for each other. And he goes, I don't see it.
And he's being honest. He's like, he doesn't see it. He's one of those 17 people that don't see it.
Yeah, he goes, and then I talked to him afterwards. He goes, especially after working with him, he goes, I really don't see it now. I go, yeah. I said, dude, I'm the comedian. He's the theater background.
Exactly. You're like, Ely's like, he's not funny at all.
Yeah. Even when we tried to spoon feed him the jokes, it wasn't happening.
It just didn't work. We let him get hit by a wine bottle. He was great at that.
Yeah, we almost replaced him with Bill Murray. We just went, fuck it. We're going, We're going all the way. We're going with Chicago comedian.
Exactly, a Chicago thing.
Yeah. Hold on. I remember reading on Wikipedia, you did a commercial with Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I did that I was 13, so that would be 89.
Was it a Nike commercial, Gatorade?
No, McDonald's.
McDonald's commercial? Okay. So are we able to look that up?
Oh, yeah,
you could
yeah, Michael Jordan. I forget what, you could probably, at this point, you could probably put both of our names in there and it would show up. And it's like, I'm adorable. I don't know what happened, but I was an adorable little kid and like this blonde, toe-headed hair. I'm just like, it is Michael Jordan. Like that was my big line.
That was your line?
Yeah. But the best part about it is my friend in that commercial with me, this kid named Relius Webb, and me and Ree were both graffiti writers. So we made up a crew at the time in Chicago, which became a big crew in Chicago called DAD, Down and Dirty. And I was the only white guy on the crew. And then they kicked me out eventually after the crew got bigger.
But Tommy was so mad.
It's like, what?
Oh,
they're
okay.
like, all right, I see how it is.
Yeah.
But it was very funny. But shout out to Ree Webb, great person, great actor, and a great MC.
So you're, however old you are, early teens, and you get on set with Michael Jordan. I mean, it's one thing to say, like, when you said you got on Ozark and you fanned out a little bit, do you fan out as a teenager when you see Mike the first time?
I was definitely in shock. I was in shock. It seemed totally out of body. I'm going to get super dark on you real quick, Gary. I watched a guy shoot himself in the mouth when I was 16 years old. And I was just like, totally like not dead to it, but I was just like, what the fuck just happened? It was so out-of-body experience. And I'm going to somehow equate that same experience, at least feeling in my body, when I saw Michael Jordan when I was 14 or 13 or whatever. It was just like totally like, this isn't happening. Is this a dream? Like, it's so weird.
Not to downplay it, but especially to be a Chicago guy, a kid, and Michael Jordan. Good Lord, I couldn't even imagine. Were you able to get a picture with them and everything?
That's a story for when me and you are just hanging out privately. But no, I did not get a picture with Mike. Some people did, but not me.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. I didn't see that part of The Last Dance. We totally missed that. I can't wait. Wait a minute. When is Joe going to be on? When's the commercial? When are they going to show that?
That would have been hilarious. Here's another Michael Jordan story, which is very funny. I worked security. I was doing a play at Looking Glass Theater in 2003 in Chicago, and then I was working late night security at Le Passage, which was this club at the time off of Rush Street in the Viagra Triangle. And I was, I'm not a big guy, so they had me at the back door just being like, hey, you can't use this entrance, or like, hey, you're blah, 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 or just calling the big guy in to take care of somebody. But every now and again, celebrities would come, and I would be the personal security for the celebrities, basically like, just come on, just give them some space, get some room, blah, blah, blah. I was put on for Michael Jordan one time, and I just remember Mike, in so many words, telling me how terrible I was at my job. And I'm not mad at him at all, because I probably was terrible, because I was just like letting, beautiful women kind of come up to him, and not knowing at the time that celebrities when they don't want anybody coming up to them, that includes anyone.
Right.
Or whatever. And it's like and something about it just made me appreciate, especially after watching The Last Dance, like, to these people, you have to bring your A game. It's like Tom Cruise, you can say what you want about Tom Cruise. I personally love the guy. It's just you have to have your A game on set, or you don't belong there.
I can't wait to hear that Michael Jordan story off camera. I gotta admit, I want to end the interview right now so I can call you. Ely did the same thing. Ely told me a story. He goes, I gotta finish that off camera. I know what I asked him. I might as well ask you the same question. My biggest fear is to be on set and just freeze, like forget my lines and be like, oh shit, I don't know where I'm at right now. Has it ever happened to you where you're just on a set and you're like, oh fuck, I will
tell you this, and I'll try to make it this is a long story, but I'm gonna try to give a really abridged version. And that is, I was doing a play here in New York, and I had the director yell at me during intermission, telling me that I was the reason that the play got all these terrible reviews, which is obviously not the case, because the reviews had already come out. And they gave me good reviews. But he was just like, you're ruining the play and blah, 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 blah. You're the reason. Who told you to put your hands in your pockets? Who did you listen to? Why are you fucking up this whole play? And literally, I had never had anybody talk to me so crazy during intermission, where I basically talked for 15 minutes afterwards. And I just went back into the corner, and I would say I cried, but I didn't really cry, because I wasn't like, I was just standing there with like tears rolling down my face, praying to my dead grandmother to make it through the next 15 minutes of the play. And I'll never forget, curtains open, I'm on stage. It's me and a good friend of mine who was in the play with me. And it was the first time in my life that I honestly remember. Remember, I've been acting since I was 11 years old. And now I'm probably, nearly 30 during this play or something, 20, in the late 20s, maybe 30. And it was the first time that I ever remember seeing the audience like that. Like, I'm just a dude up here pretending to be somebody else, and there's a bunch of people in a theater right now. What the fuck am I doing? And I could barely remember the lines. It was a total out-of-body experience. I was just saying the lines, and my buddy comes up to me, and this is on a stage, that's a mic'd stage, and he's supposed to be like just asking me one question here, and then I give this monologue, and one question here, gives this monologue. And he goes up to me, and he just looks at me, and he goes, dude, are you okay?
And the whole audience heard it?
They didn't hear it. He was away from the mic, and he kind of like went up to me and with his back to the audience, just to like, what the fuck is going on here? And I was just like, I just shook my head, yeah, whatever. And we kind of went on, and he was just like, what the fuck was happening, man, out there? And I said, I was just trying something different. I don't know, And so that director gave myself, I'll take the responsibility, but because of what that director did, I allowed myself to have stage fright. And I have horrible stage fright. The next play I did right after that was a play by Neil LaBute called Fat Pig that I did in Los Angeles at the Geffen Theater. And I barely remember doing that play because I was so scared. And the next play I did, I'm on stage for 90 minutes or 100 minutes, something like that, without an intermission. Just me the whole time, and other characters, me, Ashley Atkinson, John Bernthal. It was a great play. We killed it. But I barely remember it because I had such terrible stage fright. And then progressively, I've lost the stage fright a little bit, where I have these great moments of where I feel like I'm really in the character. But even as Tommy, there were moments, unless I really focus, and like I love to. I'm not a method actor. So when it's cut, when I played Ginger, the shaved head, big beard guy on True Detective, and McConaughey was staying very much in character, which I am very appreciative. Omari's a method actor too. He stays Ghost, but I don't do that. But
Omari stays Ghost the whole time?
Yeah. Omari's a method actor. He's he pretty much stays in that character, that mindset. But me, I can't, I don't do that. I also find, to me, depending on the character, it's really kind of tough for the crew. And I just, I'm a kind of a, I always feel like I'm crew anyway. So that just doesn't work for me. But I'm not mad at anybody's process.
Yeah.
There are times where I will just blank out. But there have been times where I was just like, thank God I'm one of the leads. Because I'm just like, I'm going to need another one, or whatever. But it's happened on other shows. It's just that, thank God I'm at this part of my process, because there have been times, even on Ozark, where I'm searching for the line, but I've figured out a million tricks to do to give myself that extra beat or find that stuff. And I come uber prepared. I mean, I know those lines backwards and forwards, but every now and again, unless I'm in the pocket and truly focused, man, I'll fuck up that scene.
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's the one thing, I think, knock on wood, it hasn't happened. It's happened in auditions for me, but not on set in the middle of a scene. Because I think Ely said it was with Anthony Hopkins when he did Bad Company with him.
Oh, yeah.
He said it took him a minute because he was like, oh, shit, I'm literally doing a scene with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like that weird second sight, it's that duality, the dual consciousness, where you're just like, yo, this is actually happening right now. And I hate that thing. I think some people call it the yaya bird. I hate that bird.
There was a guy that was doing Game of Thrones. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
I did, yeah. I loved it.
God, I feel like a dick because I can't remember the guy's actor, but it was Peter Dinklage. And he said one of the guys that played he defended him against the mountain. He got killed by the mountain when the mountain put his fingers in his eyes and he died. He goes, that guy, I was watching an interview and he goes, I'm flying to Croatia to film Game of Thrones. He goes, so I'm on the plane over, and he goes, literally, I land it, I'm in the hotel, and I get the sides for the next day, and it's like this 10-page scene where it's just him and Peter Dinklage in the prison cell. And he was going, damn, day one?
Oh, my God.
He goes, I want to ease into this scene.
Unbelievable. That's crazy. Mike Dopa did something like that, too. Mike Dopa, who played the Serbian gangster on Power, he showed up with me to basically new lines for not 10 pages, but 4-page walk and talk, where guy never missed a beat, never missed a line. I was like, who is this guy? He's magical.
And people don't know, outside looking in, it is easier. It's probably easier on the actor just to be a regular character. It's your show. You're the main character. But to come in as a guest,
tougher, way tougher.
Way tougher, man. Because everybody else got chemistry, they got a rapport, and you're coming in I don't want to step on toes, but I still want to stay true to the character. To me, that's way harder to be a special guest on a dramatic show. I was like,
I totally agree. Look at my little career. Being the guest star is always, there's only one person throughout my entire career who belittled me and really talked me down in front of the whole crew. I don't know if it's appropriate to say his name, but I can't stand this mug so bad I feel like saying his name. But it was on a major network show, and I was just like, why would you ever do that to somebody? You know how hard this is?
Yeah, I would never. I empathize so much. When we did Think Like a Man 2, there was a scene, and I'll say that I'm not throwing her under the bus, but she was just having a hard time. Ice-T's wife, Coco.
Coco, yeah. She's so sweet.
Oh, we all were just pulling for her, but she was struggling that day with her line. And it was to Ely. I was like, God, why couldn't it be to anybody else? But you can see me on some of the takes, I'm mouthing her lines. because I'm sitting next
So
to
mad.
Mike, and I wanted to do it so bad. I'm going like this. You were just, and Joe, I don't even realize it. There's some takes I'm like slowly leaning in to the camera because I'm going, come on, baby, come on.
You're like a proud parent. You're just like, I do
And
this.
I'm just, God bless our cast on Think Like a Man too, because we all were just like, come on. Nobody was being a dick, like, come on, just get this fucking scene over with. This is the last scene, we got to move on. We were all just kind of like getting through it. And it was great to have like Jerry on set. Jerry's just an actor's actor. Ely's an actor's actor. Me and Kev, we're comedians, it's whatever. Terrence was new. But, those guys were just like, I remember talking to them, they go, we've been there, man. Everybody's been there where it's just not coming out right.
What a cast, though. Just everybody you mentioned, man. Like, what? That's a strong click right there.
Yeah, it's funny how not a lot, but I mean, I got on Power through you, and then Jerry got on Power, and Lala got on Power. I was like,
Terrence J.
Oh yeah, Terrence. I was like, they're just nitpicking. I kept waiting for the phone call.
Well, I'm pretty lucky you didn't audition, I think.
No, I think you would have got it. I think they would have gave me the call, like, dude, you were right there.
Yeah, that would have been like that if we could have just chopped him off at the ankles, it would have been Gary Owen. But we got you.
I would audition for Ghost. I always said I always want to do like a spoof where I had a bad agent and they kept having me audition for roles I had no shot at, like the Amistad Blood Diamond guy.
Yes.
I always want to do a spoof where I was like, he took all my roles.
And that you're actually mad about it.
Like they would call me and be like, because the thing about the entertainment business is this is when I knew they're not ever going to be completely honest with you. Because especially with auditions and how you're doing, is the first time, and this is a Jason Bateman story. It's interesting. It's funny how it's just a small world. I had a pilot and we went to do a table read for the network. And Holly Robinson Pete was my wife. Essence Atkins was in it. I never did a table read before. And it was my show. And I thought you had to memorize the whole script. I didn't know the table read is what it is. You're reading the script at a table.
This story just got good.
But nobody told me. I was like, okay, so I'm trying to memorize these 38 pages. And since I'm the lead, I'm on damn near every page. I got to about page 9 and I started to stumble. My script isn't even open, Joseph. It's not even open. And then I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. So now I'm going through the script and everybody's looking at me and it just went downhill from there. Long story short, the showrunner, which is Yvette Lee Bowser, God bless her, she took a real chance on me. I felt like I failed her on this. She took me in her office. After the table read, everybody clapped. They was like, great job, everybody. And I was like, no, it wasn't. I sucked. I'm looking around and Yvette took me in her office. She goes, what happened? And I go, I didn't know you could just read the script. I thought you had to memorize it. She goes, why would you think that? It's literally called a table read. I go, I don't know. I've never done one of these. I don't know. So they had Jason Bateman read my part for another network. Jason Bateman was going to play Gary Owen.
Oh my God. That is taped somewhere. I want to watch that. How do you get your hands on that thing?
Well, there's got to be a table read somewhere. It never went past the table read. Because
but they videoed that table read.
They had to. And I think it would had to be for probably UPN. This is like 20 years ago. And literally, I remember saying, why the hell did I get Jason Bateman? What's he done lately? I remember thinking that.
Wasn't his time yet. Wasn't his time.
That was before Arrested Development, all that. I remember thinking, the guy from Silver Spoons? Ricky Schroeder's friend? That's who's playing me? But if the show would have went, it most likely would have been Jason Bateman as Gary Owen.
The craziest part is he would have done a good job.
He probably would have. If the show would have been based on the stand-up of Gary Owen, and I think I would have had an executive producer credit. And I tell you, I avoided Holly Robinson Pete for over 10 years because I didn't want to run into her and her be like, oh, that's that guy right there. Oh, he's a terrible actor. I waited to even approach her till Think Like a Man came out. And then I literally approached her at like a function. I go, hey, do you remember that table read?
What did she say?
She just laughed about it. She goes, I didn't think it was that bad. I go, shit. And then I remember seeing Essence last year at Gabrielle Union's birthday party. And I literally pulled her aside and I had a few drinks in me. So it just kind of came in. I go, Essence, I've avoided you for 19 years. I said, because of that table read. And she goes, and she said the same thing, Holly. She goes, I don't remember that. And I go, I do. Shit, I remember like yesterday.
Oh my God.
But
there's nothing like that feeling, man. And it's hard to shake.
Oh, I avoid it. Everyone in that table read, I avoid it like the plague. Everybody. I avoided everybody. I was like, oh my God, I thought they'd be like, this guy is the worst actor on the face of the planet. It's like, I just didn't know. I didn't know a table read meant that. Just read it from the table. So hopefully if you come back for season 4 of Ozark, you can ask Jason, hey, did you ever do a table read for a lady named Yvette Lee Bowser?
I will.
About 20 years ago.
He'll remember.
Let me tell you why that came about, Jason.
Let me tell you something, Jason Bateman.
Yeah. There's a real funny comedian that was a terrible table reader.
His only fault was he was a terrible table reader.
Hey, well, listen, man, I don't want to keep you too much, but here's 2 things we always do at the end of my podcast. I always ask, is there one actor or director or both that you haven't worked with yet that you want to work with?
Michael Shannon, as an actor, I always wanted to work with. I'd known Mike, and I first saw him do a play in Chicago, in Evanston, called Killer Joe. I was 14, I think, and he was 16. And that's one of the reasons why I was just like, yeah, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, it was the most spectacular performance. He played a character named Chris Smith. And I've just always been a fan. I mean, we're friendly. And he's been nothing but incredible to me every time I ever run into him. And he's a great guy to have a beer with. But I'd love to work with him on something great. It's always been a dream of mine.
Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon.
Got it.
If you're out there, Mike, let's do it. Directors, I would love to see what Tarantino's all about as a director.
Oh, yeah. God, that'd be dope.
I like to kill shit. I can play somebody who wants to kill some shit.
I think you've done enough.
Yeah,
you've
come on.
My hope of the podcast is in 5 years from now, all my guests are like, yo, you got to get on Gary's podcast. If you want to work with somebody, that shit happens.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Your lips to God's ears.
That's my goal with the podcast. So Michael Shannon and Quentin Tarantino. hopefully another 5 years, I'll be like, yo, you did it.
Yo, did you see Tommy and Tarantino's last film?
Yeah, that was great. And then they had Michael Jordan. He was so cool.
He told him he sucked, but he was...
Yeah, it was so friendly. It was such a good... It was full circle. Everything.
Full circle. I love it.
Omari broke character in between takes.
I don't know what happened. It was all after Gary Owen's podcast.
But it's funny you say method acting because I heard Daniel Day-Lewis is like that. I heard he's the same way. I was talking to Bruce McGill. We were on the set of Ride Along, and he was coming off Lincoln. And he said, I said, yo, I literally asked him because Daniel Day-Lewis, like my favorite actor. I was like, yo, what's it like working with him? He goes, yeah, it was pretty much the 1860s the entire time. Even when the director said cut, he was like, we'd have to talk about stuff in the 1860s. And I was like, wow. He goes, and then they had to switch the shooting schedule because when he died as Lincoln, he died. They go, he just laid there for like 45 minutes and it was just silent. And
he doesn't do reshoots. He doesn't do reshoots, but he did a reshoot for Scorsese for Gangs in New York. And
I didn't know that.
I heard Leo tell this story, which is a great story. So as long as Leo doesn't, not that he has any idea who the hell I am, but I had a little role in Shutter Island.
Yeah.
And he was telling this great story about doing reshoots with Daniel Day-Lewis. And he said Daniel Day-Lewis had gotten, I believe it was a respiratory infection because he wouldn't take any modern medicine at the time because it was just he wanted to stay time period. And they were doing reshoots, and he's like, no, that character is too far gone. But then he ended up doing some reshoots for Scorsese, and he was still like, they'd done this long day. And he never breaks character, and he's doing his Bill the Butcher thing the whole time. And then at one point, he just looks up at Leo and he just goes, "This is fucking hard, isn't it?" He's just like, "Whoa, what the fuck just happened?" So I think that everybody has their breaking point. That was a great story for me to hear, that like, nobody is Superman.
I think one of the things I appreciate about being in the entertainment business is, whether I'm a comedian or I'm on a film or on a TV show or anything, is just to hear the stories of other actors or comedians that you respect that are in the business, that are just telling stories. You feel like you're getting an insight that a lot of people aren't getting. Just that story. Think about what you just said right there, Joe. You're like, yeah, I'm on set with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I am now in the loop. I'm able to sit around and hear him tell a story about Daniel Day-Lewis, and nobody's lying. Nobody's adding stuff on. This
Exactly.
Is like,
it was like, this is a great one. When we were doing Jack Reacher, we're outside, and my friend Jai Courtney was sitting outside having a cigarette, and Werner Herzog, who is in the movie, he's having a cigarette, and I was just like, "Jai, just roll with me on this. I'm gonna say something, okay? You just gotta roll with me on this." I said, "Hey, Werner, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, hello." And I'm just like, how's your day? Everything's going good. He's like, "Everything is fine." And I'm like, "Do you drink red wine?" Me and Jai are about to go up and have a glass of red wine up in his room. We got a couple of bottles. He's like, "Yes, I drink red wine." And he came up, and so for the next 2 hours, Werner Herzog told us stories about growing up in Germany and going around to little villages at post-World War II, and like there were gangs, he's just like, there were, everybody was a young teenager, there were no men, they were all dead in the war, and so people would have stockpiles of weapons. And like his mother teaching him how to shoot a gun, because she was in a resistance army. And it's just like these stories coming to America, being a wrestler in Mexico, defecting from the U.S. So he would, it was just the craziest stories in the world. And then just thinking like, wow, that just happened. That just happened. Holy shit.
Those are the moments in this business. You're like, God, how lucky am I? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Just to be a fly on the wall. Now, I worked with Tracy Morgan. That was an experience in itself.
Oh, I bet. How was that?
Have some drinks with Tracy in his room. And
wow.
And you don't know what's coming out of that dude's mouth. And I love Tracy to death. I had Tiffany Haddish on, and I told her, I said, there's only a few people in this world that don't change personalities, whether they're in front of Barack Obama or they're in front of the guy working at Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. Tracy Morgan is Tracy Morgan. Just like Tiffany Haddish is Tiffany Haddish. He went off on me one night, and I don't know why he went off on me, but he just started going off on me in front of like the Wayans was there, everybody. "Fuck you, Gary Owen." He goes, you like, what do you say? "You like black women. My mother's black." And I was like, "What?" And then he goes, "I've been 7 years on SNL. I'll call Laura Michaels. You'll never be on TV." This is completely unsolicited. Everybody's having a good time. Then Tracy just goes off on me. And then in the middle of going off on me, his hotel doorbell, and they bring in pizza and chicken wings. It's like 2 a.m. And in the middle of Tracy going off, he goes, "Yo, fuck you, Gary Owen. Hey, you want a slice?" He offered me a piece of pizza in the middle of the attack. And I was like, "Nah, I'm good." I was enjoying it because I knew Tracy does that. The next morning, and maybe 2 days later when we're on set, he just comes up and he gives me a kiss on my forehead. Like, he gives me a big kiss. "Ah, it's my youth right here." He goes, "I went off on you last night. You just took it." He goes, "We partied like rock stars, G. You my kid. You my youth. No, you my youth, kid. You my youth." I was like, what just happened? Like, we were best friends after that.
But it's also like, Gary, that is you, man. For the limited amount that I know you, you seem like you're having a good time and that you enjoy life. You enjoy being where you're at when you're there. And like, those are the people I want to fuck with. You know what I mean? Everybody else, the too seriousness, the whole, I just want to be around people who are cool and who want to have fun.
Yeah. I'm glad people think that of me, because I don't like those people where you go, "How's your day going?" "Oh, fuck, man." Like this. Why did I ask that?
What am I doing?
Yeah, like this. "Oh my God, my wife and my kids and fucking, I just had 8 auditions and I didn't get any of them." I'm like, "Great, fuck. I'm so glad I said hello to you." But yeah, man, I forgot. So you're a diehard Bears fan, right?
Oh, I'm not diehard anything anymore, man. I mean, I was diehard all those teams 20 years ago. You know, after I haven't lived in Chicago for over 20 years, and it's just like, I like watching sports, but I liked being at the games. Like, I worked at Wrigley Field. I used to love going down to Comiskey. I mean, not as much as I liked Wrigley Field because I'm from the north side, but I loved just seeing games at Soldier Field. Like, it was just like, that was always the best to me. I watch boxing more than anything else, I guess.
Who's your favorite boxer? I love the Bears. Who's your favorite boxer?
Of all time?
Yeah,
all time? I would say Sugar Ray Robinson. I love watching the old Sugar Ray fights. Wow. And I loved Roy Jones. Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. actually was the referee at one of a fight of mine in Chicago at Matador's boxing gym at Augusta and Noble. Oh, I boxed for a long time, man.
I didn't know that.
Like 7 years I fought. I had only 32 fights on my card, like Golden Gloves fights, or if we went downstate to fight, like official fights on my card, or Park District tournament fights. But we would fight almost every Saturday at my gym, so it'd be like other parks would come down and you'd have like little inter-park tournaments. And I got my ass handed to me a lot, but it was, I know how to throw. I can work with these.
So there's literally, there's grown men out there right now, like telling people, yeah, I whooped Tommy's ass. Yeah.
and they did. There's also people who got whooped up by Tommy.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I fought
that's
him.
For sure.
There's literally people going, you didn't fight Tommy. No, I did. I fought Tommy.
I did, and I whipped his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got a great chance. I actually sparred, and probably David Diaz doesn't remember this because I was just another person coming through Hamlin Park that was brought over. Our coach, Rory O'Shea, used to bring people down from Matadors to just to spar at different parks. He's a southpaw, David Diaz, and Manny Pacquiao took the belt away from David Diaz. David's a phenomenal fighter, a gentleman, a great guy, and a great mechanic as well. But he hit me. It was the hardest I ever remember being hit in my life. Like, it was just like stars. And I remember having my eyes open, but really not being able to see that well. And he was, he could have destroyed me, but he didn't. But I just remember when Pacquiao beat him, David Diaz and Manny Pacquiao are trading punches, and the announcer just saying, Diaz just doesn't have the power. And I was just thinking, God damn, to be hit by Manny Pacquiao is gotta be.
He just doesn't have the power.
Yeah, I just say it was wise of me to stop.
Boxing is, it's one of my favorite sports to watch. I like a lot of sports, football, boxing, but I've never sparred. I've trained, but I'm like, dude, once you get in there and get in the ring and you're like, oh my God, this is definitely an art form. Watch it in a whole different light. Once you've learned how to throw a punch and all that, you watch it in a completely different light. And I'm like, dude, the level of respect I have for any boxer just goes that much to even UFC. Anybody get in a ring and you're really gonna fight another man or woman, just the nerves itself, I'd probably make it about 2 minutes and then I'd be breathing heavy. Because I'd be so nervous. Nerves are the biggest part about it. That was my favorite part about boxing, was the longer you stay in it, the more relaxed you are in the ring and the more you can actually work a little bit. Not that I was ever great, but I got good. But I've always had such a respect for boxers. And I just, not to be, to say anything else, I just want to give love to my coach, Tom O'Shea, who just recently passed away. A coronavirus involved, and I love that man. That man saved my life in so many ways. But big ups to Tom O'Shea. Tom O'Shea from Chicago? Mm-hmm. Well, originally from Dublin, Ireland, and then to Chicago. Did he have any other boxers that we would know? Anthony Stewart, Nate Jones, Terry McGroom. All pros and great fighters. Terry probably had the longest career out of all of them. And then his younger brother, Rory O'Shea, fought on Muhammad Ali's undercard. Tom was an undefeated boxer. He won the Golden Gloves 4 times. He was an Olympic coach. All the Fighting O'Shea brothers out of Chicago, just wonderful people. His daughters, Lori and Colette, are great people. He had the Wilson brothers. Ronnie Wilson's a great guy. Yeah, all those guys were fantastic human beings. I was lucky to be around them. Wow. Well, that's a great way to end the show then, man. We'll go out to your old boxing coach and all the O'Sheas out there, man. I appreciate you coming on, and I wish you nothing but the best in the future. And I hope you get to work with Tarantino and Mr. Michael Shannon. Yeah. All right. I hope it comes true, man. All right, man. Take care. I appreciate it, man. All right. Peace, Gary.